Welcome back to the Morning Show here on Iraj News. Joining us now is civil rights activist, lawyer and politician Kayode Ajulo. Welcome to the Morning Show.
Good morning.
Kayode, good to have you back on the show.
I'm grateful.
The last time you were here, we were discussing some other things.
Yes,
but so much has happened since then. Sure. Now, you have shown interest in this certificate saga of the president. The other time you commented on the Kayode Ajulo certificate saga. Now is the president that is in the eye of the storm. And you wrote a piece saying that the controversy is unnecessary. Why do you think so?
Absolutely unnecessary, particularly. It is more than we are trying to distract ourselves, particularly when it comes to presidency, election to the office of presidency. I would have loved a situation that serious issues, because that election should be issue-based. But if we reduce the whole thing to who has a certificate or not, that means we're deceiving ourselves. And even if it has to be the strategy of those that believe that they want to win the election, this is not the way to win election by trying to run that. And mind you, as young as I was, I think at the age of 4, I remember that something like that happened. That's during the time of election of Jos Nigeria and Awolowo. I remember 2 fellows, very learned Nigerians, Professor Awojobi and Taye Sholari. They raised the issue about certificate issue of Shagari then, and they raised so much noise saying that he was just a school grade 2 teacher, he's not learning, and at the end of the day, Shagari won. Now on this issue too, Nigeria seems to follow the same path. Let me be sincere with you. How will I want us to have another president that will believe in rule of law, president that will follow us, that we carry on the aspiration of Nigeria. But if you think that we want to use the issue of certificate to disqualify the president, that will not work. Particularly as a lawyer, I'm duty bound. I hold the duty to my client, to the society and justice. And on that, one need to let Nigeria know.
What does the law say?
The law is so clear that when it comes to qualification, that's educational qualification of the president, of anybody contesting, one thing is so clear. Once you have a primary school living certificate with your 10 years working experience can be equivalent of school certificate. That means that anybody with your primary school certificate and 10-year post work experience anywhere, either in public service or private sector, you are free to go. Even the last subsection of 318, even make one funny provision that any other document that INEC may deem fit, that means that INEC seemed to be the final say on it. Without any certificate, once INEC can be so satisfied that you are good to go in when it comes to educational qualification, you are so free.
How about the ability to communicate and speak English?
Well, that is another issue. Nobody raised anything about that. So even if I know no Nigeria will decide to have a president that can now communicate with his people, but once a law, it's a law. We have to follow it. Every other issue, I think we need to. I don't think we need to disturb ourselves with that.
You say this is unnecessary, but let's look at this. Do you think this is so much of the people who are clamoring for it? Don't they have legitimacy to call for clarification of the president's certificate? Or is it so much of the response of the presidency that has brought us to this?
No, I think, when you are clamoring for something, any clamoring, any issue must be based within the ambit of the law. If the Constitution, that's the legal framework in which we operate, can so say this is where it is, and you see everybody spinning different issue, this, that, then some of us were so more concerned that is there any other thing? Are we saying that we don't have anything within the space of 6 months? Are you now going to say that the whole election to the office of president will be reduced to what is even non-suit, non-starter, what we don't even need to raise?
Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
What people are saying is that even if the legal position, Section 131, Section 318, is very clear, that people, around President Buhari, they don't need to disturb themselves going to get a certificate by all means possible from WAEC. They are saying that the president, having claimed that he has a secondary school certificate, right, must prove it, must present that certificate. And if he presents a certificate, that can be questioned. Yeah, because the whole argument is that look, this certificate that was presented at the villa, that at the time in 1961, that it wasn't WAEC conducting the exams, that certain subjects were not available at the time, although that has been clarified, that students from the North took Hausa language in 1961 in Cambridge. And that where people say this is not Cambridge, this is some kind of strange thing. The presidency said it was WAEC that brought the certificate by itself. WAEC says no, the president asked for the certificate. Now, all of these questions, do you see the president here guilty of perjury? Because if in the affidavit that he swore to, he claimed that he has a secondary school certificate, are we dealing with a case of perjury here? And will you say that on the basis of that, the president has lost both the legal and the moral right to run in 2019?
Now, I pray I understand the question very well, but let me raise it this point. You know, there's a difference between morals and law. When we look legality of it, the section you mentioned cleared the whole thing, but on moral ground, of course, there are many questions that need to be answered. That is one. But on issue of perjury, because I remembered a senior colleague, senior lawyer, let me call it a senior colleague, senior advocate of Nigeria, even called my attention to this issue of perjury. And based on that, he set me to work to even try to view exactly what the affidavit said. The affidavit I saw is so clear. Maybe others may have seen another thing. What I saw clearly is the issue of credentials is with the army. And I want to explain that when it comes to credentials, it may not even mean the certificate. It is like the claim of who I am, like my profile and my CV, whether I've been there, I've been this, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm from Castina, I was born so date, I have done this, I've done that. I think that's what it is. So the issue of perjury, until when the whole thing is so clear, we can now raise the fact that whether somebody has perjured or not. But again, on this issue of certificate, that is another thing which I believe we need to really clear out. I'm afraid it's like presidency may have something to hide, because I don't think they need to go all out. It is more a level of trying to show desperation to look for certificate where it is not, to raise it to sit. All of us, we wrote to Yabi, this WAEC. I remember about 20 years ago, I wrote
to say Baba Yaba.
Yeah, Baba Yaba. No, I even call it Yaba. You know, we call it Yaba WAEC. I remember then, even I think it should be Guardian. Guardian even published one of my poem I wrote on Yaba WAEC. God, it is like a nightmare of everybody. We know how it is. I believe every young Nigerian knows the procedure in Yaba. There is no way, you can say I even call it Yaba. They call it Yaba WAEC. Yes. So, you know, the procedure is so clear. I don't think anywhere, even the law is so clear. Well, if you can pick any of the certificates, you look at the back of the certificate of WAEC, they will state the regulation. Nowhere you see INEC, WAEC telling you, giving you accreditation and co. The only thing you can ask for is a certified to call attestation. Sorry, the only thing you can ask for is the certified true copies and all that. But for them to go, and even for, I don't know, today, it is only in Nigeria that WAEC now turned to giving room service by going to present. That is the way it is, going to the office of president to present. It's like even debasing the WAEC. When I watch what was shown that day, all my conclusion is I think this council need to be proscribed, because it has debased it. I don't think anybody will want his ward or his child, or like me. I don't think I'm even proud to fly the certificate again, because it has been debased to a point that an agency of government trying to play lip service to bring a certificate that is not it. All that they should do is to go to the record, bring the certified true copy, but doing an attestation with, from what I saw, with no registration number, with no examination number, and you want that one to be authenticated to be the real one for certificate. That is why I believe there is a problem. And again, I need to say this: the law as it is today does not require anybody to furnish anything with INEC. I know it may cause another controversy, because INEC has no right to disqualify any candidate. Once your party, as like today, you are running for the position of the deputy governor of Ogun State, I wish you luck. And if at the point of submitting your paper for the nomination, all you need to do is, I'm Ruby Abati, this is who I am, whatever the publication, no law requires you to provide that, because INEC has nothing to do with such. They can't use that to disqualify you, based on that to disqualify you or to pass you. Anybody that feel aggrieved can go to court to ask for your disqualification, but not through INEC. So why going on shadow chasing, why going on rat race to look for documents to justify what is not justifiable?
We just saw some of those clips, the handing of the certificate to the president in the villa, and the president jubilating with some members of his cabinet on the screen some moments ago. You were referring to that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the law, because all of this centers around the law. There are those who say, perhaps this is the beginning of this controversy. The qualifications for the president, the INEC's position on presentation of certificates. Do you think that there's a way we could go around this law to make it clearer and simple as ABC?
You know, the law is so clear. We don't need to deceive that. You know, when it comes to constitution, this is legal framework, and this is grand norm. This is fontu origio of any law in Nigeria. It's like the almighty law, and it's so clear what it is. And that is why the Supreme Court, in case of Adefarati, ICPC, has made this clear that when it comes to interpretation of the Constitution, you give it literary meaning. You don't infuse any intention, any sentiment as it is. It is written there that when it comes to qualification of anybody contesting for any position in Nigeria, it is so clear, school sat. And school sat has been defined in section 318, that's the interpretation.
And that's also
clause.
The position in Bayo versus in Jida.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's talk about, extrajudicial killings in Nigeria. We had this recent incident involving the Shiites who were observing a Holy Week, the Arabin, and they had this confrontation with soldiers and the police. And at the end of the day, about 40-something of them were killed. About 400 of them were arrested by the police. And, the Shiites have been saying this is a clear case of persecution. And even the U.S. government, Amnesty International, they also intervened and said, look, the Nigerian government cannot just keep killing its own people extrajudicially. And that, what do you think of that whole incident?
Well, this is something that stands condemnable, and I believe Nigeria needs to condemn it. And I felt a little bit worried to see there is a sort of conspiracy of silence, particularly from our elite, particularly of those that are supposed to speak against this. There's nowhere in the whole world that you would do that. Particularly, first question I think we need to raise, the legality of deploying the military to quell civil unrest, even if there's any unrest. This is a possession. This seems to be a religious Holy Week, and even if this is something that has been outlawed, I believe that the police should still be there to do what is right. Constitution establishes the Nigerian police and Nigerian army, and it gives them different functions and duty. Even when it comes to quelling and to help in civil strife, there is a way you need to deploy them. That's why we have the National Assembly. Even for the president to deploy any of them, even in the time of emergency, within certain limited time, the president needs to go back to the National Assembly to seek their permission to so do. But today, you see the way the police, the army, they've been deployed. Today in Nigeria, some armies, they've turned to orderly of some civilian, and this is not the way it is. And now, to their rule of engagement, we all know that the police is to enforce law, make arrests. But when it comes to army is more like to kill, and because they are trained to kill. To now use them, you just imagine what will happen. And again, it's so clear. Even by the army admission, apart from saying they deploy some improvised bomb, it is more throwing stone and stick. And what did you use to return that's what they did? Open fire, live bullet. I think this is something that should not be. And mind you, this is how this Boko Haram that we studied, this is how this Boko Haram come into being. Gradually, like quelling civil disturbance, trying to use sledgehammer to kill a rat, and it got to a point they get used to it and they fight back. Until today, we are still trying to straight that. It is uncalled for. Legality of it is out of it. This is not the way it should be, and I believe everybody should condemn it, particularly to ask who allowed that. And mind you, to add more to it, the army will come with their own report, so number of people were killed. But ask police to come with their own report. we arrested 400 people, we'll take them to court. That is how it is done in civil place. But unfortunately, Nigeria is another thing.
Let's put this into perspective, going by what the army responded. So over the weekend, it says some of its personnel were escorting ammunition. And first it was the roadblock. It says along Zuba, the military road block, and the Shiite members were approaching, and they told them to turn back. They refused to, and instead started peddling stones. And then the other incident was that the personnel were escorting ammunition, and to them that amounted to hostility against the military, and so they had to respond. I'm not commending them for the response. I'm just saying these are the situations in which brought the army into all of this. Because we saw that on the last day of the protest that we had seen, it was more of the police who came to Wuse 2 to quell that protest. So would you say that the army should have just run back and called for police? What exactly should that scenario have played out to be?
Well, we understand how this thing have been spun sometimes, and we should understand the fundamental of sequence of events. Army, you don't even escort ammunition or whatever you call it just like that. I think there must have been some intelligence gathering to know what will happen. It is not something that you plan to do just in a jiffy. I don't think there's any emergency that you must take ammunition from one end to another. And I believe even if you are doing that, your intelligence report, because when we are talking about military, if you fall into wrong hands, you know that we're in problem. And I don't think that using that as an excuse or using that one as a foundation of killing should not be. Let's even assume that you are moving ammunition. The Shai did not wake up a day to do that. And this is something that they do. Like on every Easter, what do we call it? We Christian, we have a way of doing our possession within the April of Palm Sunday and Co. And for you to now say because the day you are moving the ammunition fall on the day they are doing their possession, I think some people need to ask some questions.
Why does this happen all the time? I mean, we're talking about the Shiites today. Sure. About a few weeks ago, we were talking about a young lady, harmless, defenseless, going about her normal, daily routine in Abuja, and she was gunned down by the police.
Thank you. That's what we say. The premium we play on human life seems to be at its lower ebb in Nigeria, and that is, I believe, what we should discuss. The issue about police, killing police or not, in a better climate, even if you should commit any crime whatsoever, there will be a procedure to get that. We are all living witness to how Saddam Hussein was treated, despite this is the man that killed virtually that have done everything. When he was picked, the first thing that they secure him, even call the dentist, call the physician to check him out, all that. But since we have played so much premium, like the case you mentioned, as it is, it happened to be the daughter of even a former minister. We're not even talking of that. That's another fear we should know. We should look like what I said earlier. We should not look at who actually where who was killed coming from, but that premium we place on human life. Today, before, it is those in Aliyah Jegunle, before, so the Morocco, now in Chibok, now we are coming home, we are now getting to Maitama and Katampe to kill him, the daughter of minister.
Well,
must it be when you kill him?
We have to let you go. Before you go, let me remind you that over the weekend, the president was saying that this government will not tolerate hate speech. I hope you are not concerned that some of the things you have said here could be classified as hate speech.
No, I'm a lawyer. We will certainly defend ourselves. The hate speech itself is not a rocket science thing, or maybe it's absolute. Hate speech is hate speech, but another thing is this. The president saying this again, we should be worried, particular election is coming, everybody say whatever they want to say. It should not be like a dress rehearsal to arrest some people, because the law against hate speech is codified in our criminal act and in our penal code. Why raising hate speech now?
Thank you very much, Kayode Ajulo, for coming to the morning show. We'll take a short break now.